Interesting facts about Jesus. Jesus gets his name from an angel, but the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Emmanuel." Jesus' last name wasn't Christ. Christ comes from the Greek for Christos, which means anointed one. Prophet Micah predicted that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. At least 18 years of his life was not documented in the Bible. He grew up in the town of Nazareth. Jesus lived his life as any ordinary man in the first century would. Given a common name, he worked as a carpenter and had friends he grew up with. The small town of Nazareth only had 2,000 people. His second cousin baptized him. Jesus and John are second cousins through their mothers. Theologians explain that the miracle of John the Baptist's birth was to prepare for the coming of the Messiah. Only 3 people from the Bible, including Jesus, were able to fast for 40 days. Jesus liked praying alone at the Eremos cave. The Son of God rather liked his alone time and didn't always enjoy earthly pleasures. Eremos cave, rooted in the Greek word eremos meaning deserted place. Jesus was likely very ordinary looking. Isaiah prophesies about it. He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2. Jesus started his ministry when he was about 30 years old. At least 14,000 babies were killed under King Herod's order. The wise men told King Herod of the prophesied coming of the King of Kings. He was furious, thinking a mere child would soon replace him. The king ordered to have all the male children, 2 years old and below, killed. Judas betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. He was only 33 years old when he was crucified. His ministry lasted for only 3.5 years. Isaiah also prophesied Jesus' resurrection. In Isaiah 53, he said, "After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities." Jesus was not a vegetarian. The Gospels all show Jesus eating animal products, like most other Jews did. He would have eaten a regular diet of fish and would have enjoyed lamb, which was customary during Passover. Jesus fasted for 40 days. Only 3 people in the Bible fasted for 40 days: Moses, Elijah, and Jesus. Depending on how well one's hydrated, severe starvation begins between 35 to 40 days. It was during Christ's fast that the devil tempted him in the desert. Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 to 11. Jesus taught in parables. Isaiah prophesied about Jesus' burial. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Isaiah 53, 9. As prophesied, Jesus was executed as a criminal but ended up in the tomb of the wealthy. God spoke to Jesus audibly 3 times at his baptism. Matthew chapter 3 verses 16 to 17 at the Transfiguration. Matthew chapter 17 verses 5 to 6 before the crucifixion. John chapter 12 verses 27 to 29. Scholars note that there were 2 solar eclipses around the time of Jesus' death, one in 29 AD and one in 33 AD. The Christian Gospels state that the skies darkened after the crucifixion, which suggests that his death coincided with one of these eclipses. Even though Pilate argued that he did not find Jesus guilty and allowed the Jews to choose to save Jesus, they choose to save a murderer called Barabbas and to crucify Jesus. While hanging on the cross, Jesus told his disciples to take care of Mary, his mother. Jesus raised 3 persons from the dead, the son of a widow in Nain, Jairus' daughter, and Lazarus. Jesus had been on the cross from approximately 9 o'clock a.m. until 3 o'clock p.m., a total of 6 hours. Most victims of crucifixion eventually fell into unconsciousness, but Jesus remained fully conscious until the end. He died suddenly with a prayer. Jesus' disciples were teenagers, almost all under the age of 18 and some as young as 15. All were most likely bachelors. Jesus stayed up all night praying before choosing his 12 disciples. The first he called were Simon Peter and his brother Andrew. At least 60% of Matthew's Gospel focuses on the teachings of Jesus. Jesus and the number 40. Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days. Jesus preached for about 40 months. 40 days separate the ascension of Jesus of his resurrection. His conception was the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy. The Old Testament revealed hints of the coming Messiah, but only the book of Isaiah was specific with the details. In Isaiah 7:14, the prophet said, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, the young woman shall conceive, and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel." At least 18 years of his life was not documented in the Bible. It always confused religious scholars and historians alike on why there were no written records of Jesus' life. After all, it was strange to miss 18 years of someone's life, especially for an important figure like the Messiah.